Some professed themselves to be wise, but in effect they became fools, ignorant of the creation, ignorant of the Creator, denying His existence. For they believe we came from a rock, billions of years ago, like any fairy tale, long ago and far, far away. They don't see God in His creation, so they block out God with their imagination. They call it a Big Bang. Nothing exploded and became everything. Or a tiny dot exploded and became everything. So where did the dot come from? Or where did the space come from for anything to even explode into? Even empty space would be something. Where would it come from? When would it come from? You would need time, space, and matter to come into existence accordingly. And you would also need a how. How did it come? The Bible answers that in Genesis. In the beginning, there's time. God, there's how. Created the heavens. There's the space. And the earth. There is the matter. God tells us first thing how He did it, and is consistent with scientific logic. Those four things need to occur together in accordance. And to answer the big question, what came first, the chicken or the egg? The chicken did, and males and females. God made the creation mature, plants grown and able, providing seed yielding fruit. He didn't put Adam and Eve here just to starve to death. Everything was made. Then He made the famous Garden of Eden for them to dwell in. And God stretched out the heavens, making the starlight visible. The whole creation He made ready and mature. Massive trees, higher oxygen levels. We know the oxygen had higher levels. For one example, dragonflies had 2-foot wingspans, and dragonflies take in the exact amount of oxygen they need to fly. Higher oxygen levels would have allowed animals to live longer and get bigger. Speaking of living longer, did you know lizards grow their entire life? What would you think if you saw a 30-foot iguana? Dinosaur, maybe? And the word dinosaur wasn't invented until 1842. So you won't see the word dinosaur in the Bible, but you do see dinosaurs in the Bible, one being Behemoth and another Leviathan. The oxygen was much higher because the vegetation was much greater. We see examples of giant trees and plants such as Devil's Tower, which resembles a tree and has characteristics of a plant that was cut down. We know giants existed, and we know the fallen angels were destroying God's creation. Not just His people and animals, but the earth as well. Part of which was cutting down the giant trees and destroying the vegetation. With the wickedness of the people, the corrupted bloodlines and animals, God flooded the planet and gave life a reset. And God left the evidence of this for us to see. The globe was underwater and buried animals in mass, providing oil and a fossil record, and burying vegetation, giving us coal, as well as the structures above, like Devil's Tower, becoming petrified. Then God raised the mountains, causing massive water runoff, creating many of the formations we see today. The Great Flood buried the life on earth. Atheists believe the order in which we see them buried shows different periods of time throughout millions of years and shows evidence of evolution. For example, they believe dinosaurs turned into birds because they find dinosaurs more commonly on lower layers and because they find birds on upper layers. When in reality, the order in which they are buried is consistent with the animal's ability to escape the water rather than the time in which they lived. Most were hit suddenly and buried suddenly, which is why we see so many in the cocked back death pose position. During the flood event, tsunamis occurred, laying down new layers of strata again and again and again. And we see polystrate fossils, which are trees in multiple layers going all sorts of directions, as well as many rooted standing straight up. Trees don't generally stand up for millions of years and allow layers of strata to bury them. Then these atheist scientists date dinosaur bones by rocks they find them with, turn around and date the rocks by the dinosaur bones. It's nonsense. You can't date a rock unless you see it happen, and you can't assume the previous conditions at the time, which means potassium-argon dating is not accurate and can't be. Imagine I picked up a rock and I tell you it's 1 million years old. I can't prove I'm right, and you can't prove I'm wrong, because neither one of us has any clue of the situation and events that rock went through to get to this point. But scientists do this all the time, and they say A and B prove G, but they ignore C, D, E, and F. Then they call it a fact, put it into school books, and rake in millions of taxpayer dollars to get rich off a fairy tale. And their facts are always changing. I thought facts don't change. It's a lie from the deceiver of the nations. It's a belief, not a proven scientific theory. They say it takes the earth millions of years to make gems like diamonds, but humans make them all the time for industrial equipment. They can grow opals, for example, in just 3 months' time. So does it really need to take millions of years for the earth to do it? No. They can make gem-quality diamonds in just 1 day. Heat, pressure, so forth. All things the earth can do much easier and greater. Stalactites and stalagmites, gold, none of these are an issue. Ice cap rings that were said to be in annual rings showing thousands of years were actually proven to be created by just individual winter storms. The Grand Canyon, which is a giant spillway from 2 Great Lakes that were left by the flood, the 2 lakes eventually broke and rushed off, digging that canyon. Atheists want you to think the Colorado River dug it out, but we have a problem. From where the Colorado River enters the canyon to the middle of the canyon, the elevation raises about 4,000 feet. Rivers do not flow uphill and carve canyons. There are also no soil layers between layers in that canyon, and there are no erosion V-marks in the layers. No animal holes filled in, no root holes filled in. This shows the layers were deposited quickly during the flood event. Then it was dug out quick by the lake spilling over. And God likely gave us the Grand Canyon just to prove the layers did not take billions of years to form. What about carbon dating? Does it work? Is it accurate or consistent? Nope. Now, besides the fact that you would need to know what the previous conditions were like and know that carbon intake levels were always the same, the results from this method are all over the chart. Huge variances from the same animals, as well as even results from living animals that suggest the animals were dead for several thousand years. It just plain does not work. But atheist scientists keep the results they like and toss the ones that disagree with what they want. Write them another check, federal government. Fossils can form very quick, including this fish fossil that even an evolutionist scientist claims took 5 hours or less to form. Once again, another thing that does not need to have millions of years to form. Did you know that the moon is drifting away from Earth at around 2 inches a year? Even if you were to calculate increased gravity the closer the moon was, it still can only go back about 1.5 billion years. It proves the Earth cannot be 4.6 billion years like they suggest. This is another score for the young Earth and the truth. If you went back that far, the tidal waves would be too extreme and gravity would be too extreme, making evolution once again much less likely. As far as starlight, God made everything mature, and He said He stretched out the heavens. Keep in mind, we have never seen a star form, but see them die about one every 25 years. We only see about 200 dying stars, which suggests our galaxy is 7,000 years old or less. Not 10 billion years old like they suggest. Where's all the dead stars? Also, the Earth's magnetic field is getting weaker. Based on its current decline, it will be too weak for life in 2,000 years, and 10,000 years ago would have been too strong for life. That's going to be a big problem for the long evolutionary process. Now, of course, as you know, evolutionists believe we evolved from primates. They believe we came from monkeys. This is certainly not true. There have been no links found between monkeys and humans, or no bones found of monkeys becoming humans. The Neanderthal is nothing more than a human, more fit, stronger, and longer aged. Did you know the brow on every human grows slightly their entire life? Something we see defined on the Neanderthal, confirming the Bible's account that people lived much, much longer than today. The caveman is nothing more than an early human. Don't let fake drawings fool you. Speaking of fake drawings, remember Ernest Haeckel's fake embryo drawings? How many people fell victim to that? God only knows. These evolutionists hate God. They believe everything came from nothing, that nothing exploded and gave us everything. That's right, they believe nothing gave us everything. Did you know some galaxies spin opposite directions, as well as 2 planets and 6 moons? If we came from a tiny dot, which some believe, and that dot was spinning and exploded, giving us everything, then those galaxies, planets, and moons spinning backwards would violate the law of angular momentum. So why do we see this? Because that atheist idea didn't happen either. They used to say the Calaxacus fish was an ancient creature that was extinct or evolved. That was until they found them still alive and well and unchanged at all. They always say dinosaurs walked the earth millions of years before mankind. But then they found Tyrannosaurus rex soft tissue with hemoglobin in a bone in Montana. Yet they still deny dinosaurs walked with men, even though the Bible confirms dinosaurs and humans walked together. And even though the world history has numerous legends of humans and dragons, and hieroglyphs and etchings from ancient days depicting humans and dinosaurs together. God knew what would happen. That's why He gave us the truth. Our kids are under attack from the wickedness of evolution, like this quote of Adolf Hitler. It remains true today. Satan is controlling the youth through school and lies, like evolution, and the Big Bang in textbooks. And although science is real and true and testable and observable and provable, evolution and the Big Bang is none of those things. It's even worse than atheism because it doesn't just deny there is a God, it opposes Him in every way. Evolution damages our children. It teaches them they are nothing more than the evolved product of a rock, and that they are just an animal that will live and turn to dust, and that is it. There is little to no eternal value in that, and partly why we have so many young mass shooters. If they only knew or could see that they have value. We are created in the image of an awesome God who seeks for us to live with Him forever. No pain, no sadness, no depression. A life in glory with Him. But the devil, who is very real, wants them to not feel valued, wants them to fall because he too is fallen. And the devil has one goal, and that is to bring down as many of God's creation as he can. Evolution and false science is just one of his many strategies to accomplish that goal. Look, folks, evolution and the Big Bang are not real. With all I have already mentioned, there is too little helium in the atmosphere for an old Earth. Too much salt in the oceans and Dead Sea. The galaxies spin too fast. The sun is turning too fast. There is too much dust in space. Too many short-period comets. Too much uranium in the ocean. Too much high-pressure natural gas trapped in sedimentary rocks. Or polonium halos. Earth still hasn't reached equilibrium for carbon-14. Or whether it be lies about vestigial organs, or false corrupt Bibles also designed to destroy truth. Satan is on an attack, now more than ever, and it's our job to fight darkness with light. After all, there are way too many symbiotic relationships in this world for evolution to be true. And one relationship that is crucial is ours with our Creator, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, God.